Dear friends in South and Central America, this is a special announcement from ABR which addresses this current situation with the coronavirus crisis, which is spreading throughout the entire planet. And of course, when it kind of started from China, there were hopes that things would stay there, but it spread towards Europe, it spread towards America, and it's obviously going to spread towards the South and Central America as well. And I hear from many families that there are legitimate concerns that you have about the situation. Because first thing is kind of obvious. When you're looking at what happened in the Italian, Spanish and other European systems, which have much better infrastructure, much stronger public support and social services, and generally like the level of the governing and organization, and how troubled the whole system became, I think that you make the reasonable projections. If things are causing so much trouble in those European countries, well, what kind of trouble is going to happen in the South and Central American countries? So that's very legitimate. And the second thing which you have to realize is that you might not fully realize it yet statistically, but just have a feeling. You realize that generally a child with the cerebral palsy, especially if we talk about the child who is in the wheelchair or the child who is mainly bedridden, those children are very vulnerable, and you make a reasonable projection that if they're not doing so well even with the regular colds, what is it going to mean with these new challenges of the coronavirus? So these are legitimate concerns, and in the middle of these legitimate concerns, I want to give you some good news from Italy. So just recently, like 2 days ago, I was speaking to the ABR person over there, and it happens that the ABR group there, which is like 30 plus children, it's the group which is primarily based in the north of Italy, right there where the main trouble is. The Veneto region, Verona, Milan, Lombardia, and even we have a bunch of kids from the province or from the town of Bergamo and the area. And the good news the first good set of news is that so far all the ABR kids are staying healthy, even though there are a lot of them who are in that quadriplegic and sort of wheelchair condition. And even better news, we're coming directly from the gentleman who is in charge of the organization in the Italian group. He said that, well, their family already had this coronavirus thing, so himself, his wife, and the 3 kids, out of which the one child is a 13-year-old, quite severely quadriplegic child, Diego, who had the coronavirus infection. And the good thing is that thanks to this ABR-built vitality and strength, he has gone through it, pretty much even the same or even easier than through the regular winter colds. So that is a really good piece of news, which is highlighting what I've been always bringing to your attention through ABR. That ABR focuses on the health basis for your child. And the health basis for your child, the very beginning of it is the respiratory system and the entire engagement of the visceral organs. So, and this is where our particular strength is. This is where our expertise is. This is where our strength is. This is where we are able to give you the right tools. So, but in this current situation, when the travels are disrupted, when it's very understandable that all of you have legitimate economic concerns about the whole future, not only of this infection and quarantine, but actually what is it going to do in the economic disruption there. That's all understandable. So that's why we want to bring something the most affordable and at the same time the most practical to you right away. And that's why we have designed this special program, the special online program, which is focusing on the respiration and the vitality. The good news is that with the online program, we have been already working on those in the previous year. So in the 2019, we already started the shift towards the online program, which has been just trying to make it easier for the families to do the travels and so on, which is even without this coronavirus disruption has been the case. And another big thing is that in the year of 2019, I have introduced the new set of tools. I have introduced a whole bunch of the new vibration tools and the new techniques which are associated with it, which have really made this online program very, very feasible and doable. So that's really the two things that we have accumulated, fortunately, in the previous year. The new tools and the expertise in delivering the online program. And that is what we want to offer to you right now without further delay. So when the crisis didn't hit the area too much, that you can really switch, you can really shift, you can really get these things going so that you would start investing in your child's respiratory system to the maximum. The good thing is that, of course, even like more distributed and child's movement progress oriented ABR programs have always had this strong vitality component into them, but this time we have to get even more specific. So in our overall program, we are dividing the respiratory system in 5 modules. The module which would be associated with the diaphragm, the module which would be associated with the entire volumetric response and the coverage, the volume which would be associated with the upper respiratory components, the volume which would be associated with the engagement of the entire shoulder girdle and the back, and the volume which would be using the maximum activation in the facial and the upper respiratory airways. So it's a very comprehensive program that is going to cover everything. And at the same time, the good thing about ABR and about this particular program as itself is the double benefit. On the one hand, it's your ability to really address the risks of the current situation, because this atypical, the atypical pneumonia and the risks which are coming from this coronavirus exposure. And at the same time, not only you are reducing the risk and improving the total capacity of the respiratory system, but of course you are doing an extra contribution in the long term, right? So because the better respiratory capacity, the better vitality, it's a solid base for all functions. So that's really the meaning of this program. And, again, in order to address the situation, because originally we were also thinking of how to structure this whole thing, I think that the best thing for now, adjusting and accommodating the current reality, is to have this 3-4 months planning window. So this program that's why we're having this specially priced and especially targeted program that you can start doing right away and then start delivering it in this concentrated fashion for the next 3-4 months with a really big focus on the respiratory system. And of course, in the longer run, we're looking into the integration of this online program, of this single module of the respiratory program into the larger set of modules with the whole chunk of the yearly ABR program and online module. So which is, I think, is going to be a push that we're going to get from the current disruption and travel. But what I'm assuring you is that thanks to the new expertise and the new tools that we have developed within ABR, fortunately, we are very ready for these challenging times and for this challenging crisis, and we have everything in place to help you and your children to minimize the risk and to get the maximum benefit of hopefully that extra time that you can invest in your child's health and development during this kind of lockdown and activities restriction. So my message there is that yes, it's a crisis, yes, it's a challenge, but let's try to look at it from a different way, and what we can find there are seeds of the new opportunities. And let's try to get as much as possible out of it so that several months later we would look back and say, hey, we've done the right thing. We have not only helped our kid to get through the crisis and give ourselves the meaning of action during this period of time, but we actually not just minimize the risks, but we beat. So that's the real message. And if you have any further questions, of course we have the South American coordinators ready. You will be willing, you have the whole team of ABR Hispano, and starting with Sonia Castro, Mauricio Sarri, Manuel Pascual, so everybody is ready to help you and to address your questions. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to help you and your children with the new respiratory online program from ABR.